Okay. Okay, now we're recording. This is the pull through mesh ruffle wreath class. We did do one of these at Christmas time. You can do this method with 6-inch mesh. You can do it with 6-inch or 5.5-inch burlap. I know that typically burlap comes in 6-inch width. I know Hobby Lobby, I think, is 5.5. You can do it with 10-inch is what I'm going to be using. The only method or the only size that you can't do with this method is 21 inches, just too wide. It's not going to work. I've never tried it, but I can't imagine it working. You can do a pull through poof or a bubble with 21-inch mesh. I think that's something that we haven't done yet, but you can do that too. But anyway, so let's get started. I'll just go ahead and mute everybody here. Emily, do you know how to unmute yourself? Somebody's sending me a chat here. Hold on. Not sure if you could hear me. No, Michelle, I can't hear you. I know you haven't been in the class in a while. Check your settings in Zoom. Do a sound test and make sure that, you know, Zoom has access to your microphone. That might just be something, because it has been a while since you've been in the class. I know you've been in the group for a long time, so, but you really don't attend many live classes. So it's good to have you here. What was I going to say? Emily, do you know how to unmute yourself once I mute you? Well, she's already muted. Did I already mute everybody? I don't think I muted everybody already. I don't remember hitting the button, but anyway. So just unmute yourself if you have a question. And let me just check something here. Hold on. Close that. Close.
I did that. Yes, I can do it.
Oh, okay, good. I just want to make sure that you know how to unmute yourself, because when we first started classes last year, there were a lot of people that didn't know how to mute themselves, and we had all sorts of background noise, and it was very distracting. So that's what I just do. I mute everybody, and as long as you know how to unmute yourself when you have a question, that's fine. So here we go. Okay, let me move this over. I was actually looking at a different program for uploading my videos to today. I'm not sure if you've heard of Vimeo before. Vimeo is another hosting service for videos, for video sharing. And the only reason I was looking at that today was because I feel like, I think I mentioned this in my last class, I feel like when I upload my videos to YouTube, that they lose quality. Like when I'm watching my videos on Zoom, after I record it, they're nice and clear. But for some reason, there goes all my zip ties. For some reason, YouTube, I think my son said that he thinks they've compressed the videos. So they're not as clear. So I might switch to Vimeo, which really isn't going to affect you guys at all. But Vimeo isn't free. I was going to test it out today. I was going to try to upload a video to see how it looked, but it's not free. I think it's like $80 a year, which isn't bad. But I got to figure out how much space it gives me. I mean, how much, like, each video is a certain size, megabytes or whatnot. So, but I don't like sending out the YouTube links, and if it's going to be blurry, I don't want you guys to watch a blurry video. Anyway. So this is actually some mesh that I got on clearance last year from Joann's. And it's just, it's a jute mesh, and it's got a pink stripe through it. But the reason why I picked this one is because there's a lot of fibers that fly around, because it's actual burlap. These are lines of burlap in here. That's what jute mesh is. So if I have an opportunity to do a wreath method that doesn't involve any cutting, I like to use this, because when you cut it, just like when you're cutting burlap, you're going to have fibers flying around, and it's really not good to breathe those in. So I think I maybe paid like $2 a roll for these. These were really cheap. I got them like at the end of last summer, I think. So you're just going to need your wreath form. This is just a Dollar Tree wreath form. I couldn't find any in the store, so I ended up buying a case online because I still use these. I like to use the work wreath forms with the pipe cleaners attached, but you're not going to need pipe cleaners for this method. So this is just a Dollar Tree 14.5-inch wreath form. The only reason I have a zip tie here is just to secure the very beginning of your piece of mesh to your frame, and it kind of holds it in place as you get started. Typically, I'll take it off at the end because I find that sometimes it gets in the way, if that makes sense. So we're going to need 2 of these. This is 10-inch, and the rings that we're going to be using are, we're going to be pulling the mesh through these 2 rings for our first roll, and then these 2 rings for our second roll. Now you might not be able to use the whole second roll for the inner ring, but you definitely will for the outer ring. So if you've never seen the pull through method before, the way I start is I just gather the end of my mesh into like a little bundle. And I'm going to secure it underneath. I'm going to be starting on these 2 outer, I say the 2 outer rings, but you're going to be pulling your mesh up through this ring here. It's going to kind of go up and around. Like, see how I have my fingers? It's going to go up and around. So just kind of find a spot underneath to secure it to. And like I said, sometimes I find that when I get around, I end up pulling this out because it gets in the way. But when you're starting, you need something to hold that in place for you. So even if you don't want to use a zip tie, you can even use just a pipe cleaner just to kind of hold it there while you're starting to pull through. Because as you start pulling through and ruffling and scrunching it together, it's going to hold itself in there. You know, people say to me, well, what if my mesh comes out? It won't, because you're going to have so much in there, it's going to kind of hold it together because you're going to scrunch it together really tight. I can't even get my zip tie on. That's because I have it the wrong way. Maybe that's why. I'm going to show you what I did as soon as I can get this through here. You can see the end is already starting to fray. This jute mesh likes to fray. Good Lord, my small fingers tonight. We'll get started, don't worry. Bear with me. There we go. I have a defective zip tie. It doesn't want to work. Hold on here. Let me put this down for a second. I need 2 hands. There we go. Just make sure you pull enough through. It's going to hold on to it. There. Now we're not going to worry about that right now. Like I said, sometimes it tends to get in the way as I come around, and maybe I'll pull the zip tie off. We'll have to see. So all you do, look at that, it is already starting to come out. Lord, I am so sorry. I have to do this over again. I didn't catch the whole end of it. It's like coming out. Let's try this again. Oh dear, I hear my kitty getting sick in the other room. I had to lock her up in her little room. She's been getting sick lately. If any of you have cats, you know that noise that they make right before they get sick. I hate that noise. She's actually a year older than my doggie. She's going to be 15 years old. My doggie just turned 14 a few days ago. Saturday, I think. Yep. My little Sammy. I know we have enough gathered in here. Now it's not going to come out. Okay. There we go. mesh fell on the floor. Okay. So the best way to do this make sure your mesh is underneath. Hold on a second here. Boy, oh boy, I'm having a hard time getting started here tonight, guys. I apologize. I don't know what is wrong here. You're probably thinking, she's really out of it tonight. I just zip tied it to the wrong side. I think it's time for me to get some new craft scissors. This is what I want to do. You have to be underneath your wreath form when you attach this. That's what I did wrong. You're pulling up through the bottom. Let's try this one more time. All right, we're going to call it a night. We're just going to shut the video down. It really is, once we get started, it's very easy. My fingers just don't want to work tonight, that's all. That's what I did wrong. I went through the wrong side.
Christina,
Yes, ma'am.
just to clarify, the mesh is connected to the wreath form on the back side.
Yes. Because
Okay.
you want your mesh. And like I said, this is just temporary because
Okay.
once I come around, it's going to be squished so tight that I can undo this at the end.
Okay.
This is just to hold it while I get started. So you
Okay, dear.
can use like a pipe cleaner if you want to.
Okay. No, I'm set. Believe it or
Sorry
not.
about that. And I'm sorry it took me so long to get started here. So it doesn't really matter where this is attached to because it's just going to be snipped off anyway when you're done. It's just to kind of hold it as you get started. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So you want your mesh to be laying underneath like that because you're going to start pulling it through these two wires. So, or this one wire. You've got the second bar, okay? The second one from the outside, right there, okay? You're going to take your mesh and you're going to just start pulling it up through like that, okay? And make sure that you have it's the same amount on either side, so it's even, okay? It's better to kind of lay it flat while you're doing it. And you're just going to pull. I like to pull through with one hand and then scrunch with the other because you have to kind of scrunch it.
Christine, we're doing this like we're doing if it was a burlap
Yes.
pull through?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Exact same thing. But you're doing it with 10-inch mesh. And it may be a little bit cumbersome because it's wider.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get it all on there, and especially when you get your second roll on there, it looks nice. But you really can't use 21-inch. This is the widest that you can do this with. But it is exactly the same as the burlap.
Is it okay if I started on the wrong side instead of the outside? I started on the inside.
It's fine.
Thank you.
That's fine. You might not need a whole roll on the inside because it's not as, circle's not as big, but you'll definitely use the whole roll on the outside.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And you just kind of eyeball it. As far as how much to put in there, you just kind of eyeball it and see how it looks to you. And what you can do is if you come all the way around and you find that you have a little bit left over, you can just take that zip tie off and just kind of go back into that section and add more. If that makes sense. But it's very important that you have the same amount pulled through on each side. So here's our wire. You can see the wire right there, okay? See that? And the mesh is pulled up around both sides of it. So it is identical to the burlap pull through that you've seen.
That's beautiful.
I love this mesh.
Oh, that is so pretty.
Thank you, my dear.
You're welcome, sweet girl.
I need to come and visit you.
Yes, you do.
You probably have nice warm temperatures there now too.
Let's see, it was 57 today.
Now, how far are you from the ocean?
We are 4.5 hours.
That's still closer than me.
We go about 2 or 3 times a year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Bunny, how far are you from the ocean? You just got back from the beach. I think she's closer.
I think so too. Am I still on? Yeah, let me turn myself off.
All right, my dear. Even
I
though
think
am-
I'm about 5 hours from the beach.
Oh, okay. God, no wonder you're so tired after driving.
Yeah, that's a long drive going through Raleigh, and that is a pain.
We used to
I'm
be.
jealous of you all.
What's that?
I'm jealous of you all because I'm a long way from the beach.
Yeah, but aren't you near the Lake Michigan though, or one of those lakes out there?
Yes, I am near Lake Michigan.
Lake
But
Michigan's pretty huge. It's almost like the ocean.
it is, but our water's cold.
Yeah.
Oh,
We used to go visit my daughter when she was in the Hamptons before she moved to Colorado, and that was about 5 hours. Boy, I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss visiting her at the ocean. And we'd go into Montauk. And so like I said, it's going to seem a little bit cumbersome because it's so long, or it's not so long. It's a little bit wider than your burlap. But you just have to kind of play with it a little bit. And once you get more in there and they start pushing each other together, you're going to get those pretty ruffles. Now, once you add your second roll, they're really going to start, they'll start squishing each other together. And that's when you really get the look that you like. But I think I'm going to stop there. That section's pretty tight. But again, when I come around the other side, like up here, if I find that I have some mesh left over, I'm going to undo that. I'm probably going to undo that anyway because I'll have enough mesh in there to hold it in place. I won't have to really worry about that being there anymore. So let me look at that real quick. Maybe I'll add a little tiny bit more. And don't worry about messing with it too much now. You can adjust your ruffles once you get everything in there. Like I said, the most important part is just to make sure that you have equal amounts pulled through on both sides, because it'll look funny if you don't. If you have more pulled through on one side than the other side, your wreath is going to look lopsided.
wait a minute. Are you talking about the front and the back?
You're not pulling through anything in the back. Is that, well, when you're coming
Yeah.
up through these wires here,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
wire, so here's the roll of mesh, okay? Pretend that my hand is the wire, okay? When you're
Okay.
pulling it up through, just make
Yes.
sure that it's even. Like your wire is here.
Okay. I
Just
got
make
you.
sure that you have the same amount pulled through on both sides.
Thank you.
You're welcome, dear. I'm just going to pull through a little bit more. And like I said, you can adjust it when it's all done. You can go through and fluff it, and just pulling off a few of these frills here. But the best thing, now I'm going to the next section. All you really just have to do is just kind of go up around that crossbar there. You can see the crossbar going up and down. Just go over it. Keep going right underneath. I'm just going to keep going around. It might seem a little bit weird when you hit that crossbar. But again, once you get all your ruffles in, they're going to start pushing each other together. That's why, like I said, I like to use both hands. I use one hand to scrunch it over and one hand to pull it through. You're going to want to find that it's going to try to fold in on itself. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I said, the most important thing is just to make sure that you have the equal amounts of mesh pulled through on each side of that wire. I'm so glad I'm using this mesh. When I got it on clearance last year, I thought it was actually at the end of summer. And I thought, well, we're doing fall stuff now. I'm not going to be able to use it for a while, but I know I'm going to be able to use it for something someday. Now, like I said, your ruffles are going to want to kind of flatten out a little bit, but once you get that second roll in, it's going to push them up. So don't be too worried about that right now. You're going to look at it now and you're going to say, that doesn't look right. But once you get that second roll in, it makes a difference. And just like I said, just squish it over as much as you can. Try to fit as much as you can in that section. Until you think you can't fit any more in, guess what? Try to fit just a little bit more in. Because the more you have squished in there, the better. Because you want your ruffles to be nice and tight. Typically, I don't really add a lot of ribbon to these. You can add ribbon tails, but it's kind of hard to add them because there's really no pipe cleaners to add them to. But I'm going to show you how you can do it if you want to. You can most definitely add a bow, or any little embellishments, like if you're making an Easter wreath, you can, kind of tuck little eggs in between the ruffles, or little bunnies or chicks or whatever, little Easter thingies you have. And definitely you can add a sign. You just kind of have to, if you wanted to add ribbon tails, you kind of have to attach your pipe cleaner to your ribbon, and then you have to try to feed it through and find that center bar and attach your ribbon to that. That's really the only way you can do it, but I'll show you how to do that. Look how pretty that looks. I just love ruffles. I'm not a poof girl. I'm not a poof wreath girl. I like ruffles. I'm a ruffle girl.
That is so pretty.
Isn't it pretty? I love the
Yours is.
natural look of the jute with the colors.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you,
I
my
love
dear.
it, Tina.
Thank you.
You're welcome. get in there.
So I think I'm gonna just fit one more in here, one more little pull through, and then I'm gonna go to the next section. It goes pretty quickly once you get the hang of it.
Yeah.
Don't get flustered if you feel like it doesn't look right and you want to take it apart and you want to start over again. Hey, that's fine. It's not a race. It's not a contest, you know. Again, you know, someone asked me earlier today that just joined. She has been making wreaths for a while, but was new to mesh. The same thing happened to me. I had never even heard of deco mesh until, you know, a couple of years ago. I did a lot of florals. I did grapevine. I did, God, I shut my Facebook off here. I'm getting notifications still. But had never heard of mesh. And she asked if she could just watch during the class or if she had to participate. Absolutely. You can just watch, and then I'm going to the next section now. And then just make your wreath with the video, because you do get the video, as you know. Even if you attend live, we don't expect you to memorize everything that we're doing here. That wouldn't be nice. So, and a lot of people like to do that. So now I'm on my third section here. Emily, you have your webcam on. I can't see anything. All I can see is, oh, there you are. Hi.
Hey, mine's almost like yours.
Who's that, Emily?
Yes.
You have the same mesh as mine?
Similar. Mine is black with the jute.
Black?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that'll be kind of neat. So there's black stripes in it?
Can you see it?
Let me see. Can you hold it up for me? Oh, very pretty. Where'd you get that?
Oh,
I think I got it at Joann's.
That's
that's
right,
so
Emily.
pretty.
It's turning out pretty. And I cheated. I made a burlap last night.
Yeah, I saw that one. Did you see her burlap wreath? I posted it in the group.
No, I missed it.
You got to go look at it. She put some pretty flowers on there. She did a great job.
Oh, wow.
See, this is starting to like fold in on me, and I don't like when it does that. So you got to make sure you're scrunching with one hand as you're pulling through with the other. It's very important. I don't like it when it folds in on itself. So scrunch and pull.
Yours definitely looks prettier, but mine's coming along, so I'm very pleased.
What kind of mesh do you have?
Blue,
Oh,
that
pretty.
light blue. Yeah, I've got a.
It'll get better as you go along. As you keep filling it in, that's when it really starts to. Isn't that funny? I'm getting the strings coming off on the seamed edge.
Oh my Lord!
What's that?
I said, "Oh my Lord." You have fraying problems, darling.
I do, but not as bad as if I was to cut this. I know it would be
true.
much worse if I had cut it.
This is true.
And it's not even fraying. It's just like an extra piece that's coming off on
Oh, good.
the seamed edge there. So. I was actually looking at some more ideas for classes. And I don't know if you have ever seen, any of you have ever seen the door hangers, where I think if you've heard of Wood Ideas by Dora Shaver, she actually sells signs, and I have to get a picture, but there's a sign and it's a hanger and you only attach the mesh to the bottom. Have any of you seen those before? I saw one that was a welcome wreath. It just said welcome.
I think
And
I have.
it actually looks like a clothes hanger.
Yeah.
So you attach mesh to the bottom and your sign is on the top. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I've seen one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd like to make one of those. I think those are really pretty.
Be
And
awful
Wood
fun.
Ideas by Dora, her name is Dora Shaver. You can look her up on here. She does customized signs. She can make a sign to say anything you want. If you want something with your last name, you know, the Sullivans, or you know, something like that, she can do that. But those are really pretty. So I'm always looking at new ideas for you guys to keep it fun and interesting. So this one's kind of getting a little wonky on me here. Hold on. Oh, hold on. I got to plug in my battery. I'm going to lose you guys. I always forget that. You would think that after all this time, I would remember to plug in my battery. Whoops. Hold on here. My laptop fell over.
Uh-oh.
There we go. All right, let's see here. I'm so glad I can sit during class tonight. I like to be able to sit once in a while. I never get to sit. And I'm just kind of playing with this a little bit. For some reason, this one section, my pieces are folding over on themselves, and I don't want that to happen.
I don't want it to be big old gigantic.
So we'll just fix that.
I do want it to be big enough. This is a hog.
I think I'm done with this section anyway. Let's see. Well, there's quite a bit in there. I think I'm going to be done with that section. Move on to the next one. And this one strand is just coming off all the way down. I should have pulled that off before. So this video looks clear to everybody right now, right? This is how I want the quality to be after I upload it to YouTube. So I need to find out why that's happening, because that bothers me. I don't want you guys to get, you know, a blurry video. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks it's blurry. But I'm, you know, you guys. I want you guys to get good quality stuff here.
Christina,
Yeah.
what size wreath form are you using?
This is a Dollar Tree form. So what is it, 14.5, I think?
Ah,
What
yeah.
size do you have?
I have an 18 and
Oh,
I
dear.
know. And I have 1, 2, 3 more sections. And I'm at the end of the first row.
Yeah, you might need to get some extra mesh there, dear.
Okay.
That's a big wreath form.
Thank you.
You had said you had half of Craft Outlet in your house anyway.
I think, I know there's another roll of this somewhere. It's just finding it. Where is it?
So if you flip your wreath over, you can see that where you went over that crossbar, it's starting to pop out a little bit. You can just kind of push that back in. That's the only spot where you might have a little bit of an issue. It's like it wants to pop out there. See that? You can just kind of push that back through. Ooh, my nose is itching. So like I said, when you feel that it looks full enough to you, just go ahead and skip over to the next section. Just try to get it as tight as you can. Look at your ruffles. You know, if they look the way you want them to look, then go to the next section. It's hard for me to kind of see from this angle, but I'm looking up at my laptop, I'm looking up at my screen, and that kind of helps me see where I'm at. Susan, my doggy slept through the night last night, so I was able to sleep. So it was very nice. It was very nice.
That is wonderful.
I feel like we have a newborn in the house again. I have for those of you who aren't familiar, I have a 14-year-old Pekingese Chihuahua, and she was diagnosed with diabetes just about a year ago. And her sleep patterns are a little bit odd at times, because sometimes she gets up in the middle of the night, and you know, if you're not familiar with diabetes in dogs, they have to go to the bathroom a lot. And she had been getting to a point where she was sleeping until 10 o'clock in the morning. I used to have to wake her up to feed her and give her insulin, but for the past week or so, she'd been getting up 3-4 times in the middle of the night, and she comes into the kitchen to drink, and it's right off of my bedroom, and I hear her. I'm a very light sleeper, so I hear her little nails clicking on the kitchen floor. And so, you know, my kids work, they get up early and they go to work, so I you know, I'm home during the day, so I'll take her out. But it's tough when, you know, you get up 2-3 times in the middle of the night. It's kind of hard to get back to sleep. So I've been pretty tired, but what a difference a good night's sleep makes. I feel a lot better today. A lot better.
I am so glad.
Me too.
Goodness.
But it's almost kind of like sometimes I'll wake her up during the day so she doesn't sleep all day. So she sleeps at night, you know, kind of like a baby. But it's, you know, it's crappy outside. You know, we take her out in the nice weather and she runs around in the yard, and even though she can't see, she's blind, she still runs around, and we just are ready for spring here. We really are. I might even, yeah, I'm going to be running out of my roll here soon. And I didn't even finish this, this outside ring. But you know what? That's okay, because I know for a fact, because this middle ring isn't as wide, that I won't need the whole row. So I'm going to steal a little bit of it. I'm going to use it on the outside. Now, I'm going to clip this off now, which I probably just should have used a pipe cleaner, because it's going to be getting in my way when I come around. Whoops. It's really just a temporary thing. You just kind of, just to hold it in place. Now it doesn't want to come off. There we go. The only thing I'm going to want to do, though, is because it did fray quite a bit on the end, I'm just going to kind of try to cut it so it's a little bit more even. But it's really not going to show once you get all your mesh in there. So I'm just going to try to cut these frays off a little bit here.
Okay, George.
There.
Who invited you?
Now I'm just going to go ahead and push that back up through that piece that I zip tied. I'm just going to go ahead and pull that up through, because now I have enough mesh that it's going to be holding it in place. And I'm just going to kind of tuck the cut ends in a little bit so you can't really see those. Now this is going to have to be cut because I'm at the end of my roll.
Dang.
So let's just continue here. You can tuck your cut ends in. Like I said, that piece I just undid that was zip tied, I'm just sort of like cutting my, right here, hold on a second, where's my scissors? It's not even really a fray, it's just the one piece of long strand from the outside is coming off. Oh, I lost my blurry a little bit. There we go. Now we're okay. All right. Let's finish off this roll here. And like I said, when I start my second roll, I'm going to just finish up this outside ring, and it's going to be okay. It'll work, because like I said, I know that I won't need a full roll for the inside.
Okay. Wish you could tell me that.
I can steal a little bit of that second roll.
I think you'll need it.
You think so, huh? I know I made one of these before and I didn't need the full one.
Well, I just finished a roll on the inside.
Did you really? Okay, you must have it squished in nice and tight.
Well, except for the last one. That's where I'll put me a bow.
There you go. Good idea. I think I'm just going to go ahead and put this whole roll right in here. I'm going to just kind of keep going with it so it holds it in place. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, I must have squished more into each section, because when I made this the last time, I didn't run out. I had enough. So I'm just going to have one section I'm going to have to borrow from. And I'm just, like I said, you have your cut ends here. They might be fraying a little bit. Hold on, I'm getting blurry. I just tuck those in. You're not going to see them when you have all your ruffles in place. You don't have to worry. Ugh. Sorry for my head. My blonde head, and I just colored my hair again. I don't like to color it that often because it dries it out, but can you guys guess what my natural hair color is? Anybody who guesses it, you get a free class.
I think I know.
What's that?
I think it's brown.
It's
Dark
more like it's more like an auburn. It's like a dark auburn. Yeah.
That's all right. That's what I am. I'm brown, but I'm totally blonde.
But you know, I have fair skin. I just did not look good as a brunette. I just didn't look good.
And
I
my
didn't
hair.
either. So
Excuse me. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just fixing my brightness here. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to have to borrow a little bit from that roll, but I think I'll be okay.
In there.
If anything, I just won't squish as much into each section on the inside. But that looks pretty so far. That's because I'm only filling in this little section here, and it's going to hold. I want to get a clean edge on this, so let me get my, I don't want to use my scissors. I'm going to use my rotary cutter to get a nice clean edge on here. This thing scares me though. It's so sharp. And I usually use my wood burning tool when I'm cutting mesh, but this rotary cutter I just got, it's really, really sharp. But yeah, I have a nice clean edge there now. I should have done that in the beginning. Sometimes I forget that I have it. You know what I use it for now though, honestly, is cutting ribbon. Very easy to cut ribbon with the rotary cutter. All right, let me just fill in this section here. And it'll be easy for me to jump over to the next wire. It's not going to be difficult. If you had to do the same thing that I'm doing, don't panic, it's easy. What the heck, I still got a string coming out here. Somebody's not muted. I don't know who that is. It's not a big deal. But I can't stop what I'm doing. I want to get this finished. I know, I think it was the first class was absolutely awful because, you know, you're learning, and I was learning Zoom and because I work from home and we did conference calls and whatnot. A lot of people were just having a hard time with it, and I didn't know that I could mute everybody. And there was just a lot of background noise, and I felt so bad. I felt so bad for the people that, you know, were trying to hear and they couldn't because there were dogs barking and TVs going, but we figured it out. I was actually telling Emily earlier today when I was helping her with getting set up that when I started these classes back in July of last year, there were maybe only 2 other wreath makers that were doing classes. Now it seems like everybody has got a paid group. And the thing of it is, when I first started this, I don't know if many of you realize, and I'm surprised that some of you don't realize it, that I do have another group. It's Need to Wreathe. It's just Need to Wreathe. This is the Need to Wreathe making group, and I also have Need to Wreathe. And that group I started first in June of last year, and it's my free group. So there's, just people share pictures and, get ideas, and there's no classes there. And the reason why I started this group is because I was getting so many emails and comments and posts from people, women that were stuck home, maybe their spouse had passed away, or they had a disability, or they had some sort of a condition where they didn't want to leave the house, and, anything. They wanted the interaction. They wanted to learn, and they wanted the interaction with other wreath makers. So it really was going to just be sort of like a social thing. Let's get together with other wreath makers and with other people across the country online and just make wreaths together. And then it kind of turned into a class thing. That's just kind of how that happened. So, and how many months now has it been? July, 6, 7, 8, 9 months now? Susan, guess how many classes I've done since last July?
Let me see. Since last July,
38.
No. Close.
Close.
I think I'm up to like 46 now.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Christina, I think that's how I found you last July.
You've been with me a long time. So is Susan, and so is Bunny.
Yeah.
You've been the best. So
Aw.
thank you.
What I want to know is, what is all this Damonite stuff? What is that? What does that mean? Somebody does a live. Is he like challenging people to do live videos? Is that part of his class
No.
thing?
It's not a challenge. It's something you have to do. You have to do 6 lives.
Is that why people are putting Damonite in their lives?
Yeah, that's why.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to make you do any live videos.
Me?
I had joined his group originally, and I guess maybe it's because I work too, but I just didn't have the time to do everything that they wanted you to do.
Isn't there like homework and stuff? And
Yeah, and there are things I want to know. I need to get I don't know if I want to do Etsy. I don't know what I want to do yet because I want to get this off the ground more. But it was just too much. I dropped it. I couldn't do it.
mm-hmm. I love Damon, though. Don't get me wrong, and he's.
Oh, I do too.
He says
I do
very
too.
nice things about me. I was in his group is it Inside the Wreath Chateau? Does he still have that?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
I was in that for a little while.
So was I. Yeah.
And then
So am I. Lord.
somebody told me, I don't know if you guys know who Leah McIntosh is from Flip Flop Mania and Wreath Design. She's a very dear friend. She was actually an admin in my other group for a while. But she told me that she was in one of his classes, and he said some really nice things about me. So that, he's a great guy. I love him.
He is. He's a great guy. I just didn't have the time.
Yeah.
So I got to do it at my own pace.
Yeah. And that's what's nice about these. I mean, I don't know does he save? Can you go back to his videos, his tutorials, or no?
I don't think so. I think you have to get it.
Save them?
I save them.
Yeah.
You can.
I think that's
You
important.
can
I think you
save
need to be
his.
able.
You
Go
can
ahead.
save his free ones. That for sure.
You need to be able to go back and stop and start and pause. I'm standing up for a second here so I can look at this. And just, I think it's important to be able to go at your own pace.
Yeah. Have you heard that bone drop?
Christina,
Yeah.
She got the bone, a little bone.
Yeah.
if you've got some that's not as full right at the end, what you can do is start the next one where it's fullest. No. So that you'll have more at that area where it's thin.
Yep. Yep. I know what you mean exactly. I'm just kind of trying to adjust this a little bit to make sure that it's even. I like it to be even. So I'm going to go to my inside now. I'm trying
Okay,
to
I'm
trying to hide this cut end here because it's bugging me. I don't want to see that, so I'm kind of tucking it inside here. So I'm going to go inside now with this very same roll. Now, this is where you're going to find it might be a little bit challenging because, and I'm hoping you probably won't even be able to see me as well, but all I'm going to do now is go through, you can see that, the inside, the second bar. We're going to pull up around that, just like we did the outside. Now, if you started on the inside, that's fine. And you're going to find that it might be a little bit challenging because the mesh is going to kind of want to stick to each other. But just be patient with it. But this is where you're really going to see your wreath get nice and full. Now, I need to get at an angle where I can. So you kind of got to like hold down the other row with your hand and to give yourself some room to pull this through. And don't get frustrated if it starts to stick together. Just be patient, like I said. Try to make sure that you still have the same amount of mesh pulled through on each side because that's important. And when you're done, you can go around and you can adjust and you can fluff and you can fix, you know, what might be a little lopsided, what might not be pulled through all the way. My mesh just fell on the floor. It's okay, it's out of the way. Like I said, this might be a little bit cumbersome when you're adding the second row. I'm not even sure if you guys, has anybody started on the second row? Is anybody like ahead of me? That's happened before. I've had people finish their wreaths and I'm still working on mine.
I'm on the second row.
Okay. It's really bothering me that this piece keeps.
Oh my gosh.
What's that?
Uh,
Are you going to have enough mesh there?
well, that's not my problem. My problem is, I don't know what my problem is. It's that,
You're so funny.
um,
Susan, you weren't in my Garland class, were you?
no,
You know that I wasn't on the floor this time?
no.
Because you know what I did?
What did you do?
I cut it in half.
Did you really?
I didn't make the whole 9 feet. I
Huh.
cut it in half so I could fit the thing on my table. But
Yeah,
that's okay, because I'm just going to make 2.
that's
And the
smart.
4.5 foot, you know, it was a nice size. So it's still a garland. It's just not going to fit over around the whole door.
I gotcha. What do you do if it comes out?
Go underneath,
Uh-huh.
push it back through.
Oh, that's easy.
Is it like completely coming out?
Yeah. It's just this one section.
Just
One-
go
one-
back and just feed it through again. Just pull it through again. If you have to go underneath and help push it through.
Okay.
But that's why it's important that you have it squished in there very tightly. Because if you do, it shouldn't come out.
It's tight as Dick's hat band, but I don't get it. That's all right. Okay,
You'll fix it.
I'm good.
It's like sticking to my shirt now that I stood up. It's making me crazy. You're going to find that if you haven't worked with a lot of mesh before, that you're going to be very cognizant of what you're wearing, because mesh likes to stick to certain fabrics more than others. Sweaters, don't wear sweaters when you're working with mesh. I'm sorry if you guys can't really see what I'm doing because I'm in my inside row here and it can be a little bit difficult to see. Doing the same thing you did on the outside. You're just pulling and scrunching. If I didn't have to keep cutting these things off, it would be a lot easier, but. think I'm gonna stop there. I think that section's pretty darn full. And it's always better to cut any phrase that you see instead of pulling. And I know I'm guilty of that sometimes. I pull instead of cut, and that's a no-no. I'm already finding that I don't really have to add as much per section as the outside. So I think I'm going to be good. And again, if you flip it over, you can see like that's where I went over the crossbar, how it's poofing out a little bit. Just tuck it back in. I'm going off the table. Oh, I had a couple more people pop on here. I didn't see. Sandy's here. Lynn is here. I can't always see who's here unless I click my other little button. You guys snuck in on me here.
I apologize for being late.
No, don't worry about it. Who is that?
Sandy.
Hi, Sandy. Don't
Hi.
apologize. I can't see a lot of the times who's jumped on unless I click my screen to go to the next one. So I'm sorry if I didn't greet you when you first came on.
Oh, no, you did.
I did?
Uh-huh, you did. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. You can find that you're gonna, sometimes it feels like it wants to get away from you. Like, look at this this piece is kind of like longer here. There's nothing wrong with taking it out and doing it over, because that's the worst thing you want to happen. You don't want it to be really long on one side and not on the other. So you can fix that. I just found out where that was happening and I just fixed it. So like I said, it's not a race. Take your time. Because it'll look really weird if you have too much pulled through on one side and not on the other. So just pull it through and squish it over. The second row is always the more difficult one to do because you've got so much mesh on there already. I just love ruffles so much. And, you know, and I keep cutting, and I want you guys to understand. I know you see me cutting and you're thinking, well, I thought there wasn't supposed to be phrase with this. There isn't. It's just that sometimes when you have the outside piece, the sealed piece or the seam, sometimes you have an extra piece that just comes off. It's not from cutting because obviously we didn't cut this. You may have some fraying at the end of your roll. I'm just kind of tucking those in as best as I can. You can get some adhesive spray after you're done with your wreath. And if you can find those sections, just spray them a little bit. I use Elmer's Craft Bond. You can use E6000. If you just want to find those cut pieces when you're done with your wreath and spray those a little bit, that'll help too. But right now I've just kind of got them tucked underneath so they're not exposed. And once you're done, and you're not, you're not going to be messing with it, so you should be okay. Just the more you pull at it, the more it's going to fray on you. But again, as you noticed, I did zip tie it at the beginning just to hold it, but then like I knew I was going to, I did end up taking it out. So you can just use a pipe cleaner next time instead of having to struggle with cutting your zip tie out. What the heck is my roll? That's what's happening. My roll keeps getting stuck. How many more sections do I have to do? I hope I have enough mesh. I'm going to second guess myself. I know I only used 2 rolls the last time I made one of these, and it was the same size wreath form. Okay, where am I here? Just take your time. If you need to stop and walk away a little bit, there's no shame in that. Uh-oh. Just gonna let my mesh fall because it keeps getting in my way here. I'll let my roll just fall on the floor. Almost done. Oh, I think I'm going to be good here. I got a couple more sections. I think I'm going to be just fine. Just keep in mind that this is a 14.5-inch wreath form from Dollar Tree. You can use any size wreath form that you want, but obviously the larger the wreath form, the more mesh you're going to need. You can do this with either the 6-inch mesh from Dollar Tree as well. You can do it with the 5.5-inch mesh from Hobby Lobby or with burlap. You'll probably find that it's a little bit easier for you using a shorter width mesh, but I just wanted to show you guys that it can be done with 10-inch. Most typically, I think the first time somebody actually did a method this way, it was with burlap. Oh, I'm a little blurry. And we've done burlap before. I think we did our heart wreath with burlap to pull through. It's twisted under here. Hold on. Gotta get that twist out of there. I don't know how it. There we go. It's important that your mesh will be flat, as flat as possible when you're pulling it through. down to the end of my roll, but I know I'm gonna have enough. I only have one more section. So I'm gonna be good. Hooray! I'm gonna cut that fray off after. And it's not even a fray, like I said, it's just a piece that's coming off of the sewn edge. And it just came up, you know, and a lot of times you can even start that, like when you see when you open your roll, sometimes you can even just grab that and pull it off before you even start working with your mesh. So you can usually get the whole thing off, and that way you don't have to worry about it once you start making your wreath. And you're snipping it as you go, like I've been doing. You can just pull it off right at the beginning, and it comes right off.
Christina,
Yeah.
I think I have managed to push so much mesh in these sections that it's not holding.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
I'm
that
just-
doesn't make sense to me, because if you have a lot, it should be holding better. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
But it's
that's
not. It's popping out.
popping out, and so I'm just going to pull it out.
Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I don't know why.
Well, I don't know either, but it's
I wish I could
okay.
be right there and help you.
Well, come on over.
I wish I could. You're too far.
I do too. So I'm just going to pull it all out, and I'm going to start over again tomorrow.
Well, like I said, I don't know why I keep getting blurry. I don't know if you have it nice and tight, it shouldn't be coming out. Usually if it's loose and you don't have enough.
Well, it was really, really tight. And now there's nothing on it, and it's around my neck.
Oh no. Susan, I'm sorry.
Well,
Feel bad.
it'll work itself out. It always does.
We can get on a one-on-one Zoom meeting tomorrow if you want. You can show me.
Well, I don't think you want to see.
Well, I want to help you.
Thank you.
You know I do.
I may need help.
You want to go to sleep?
No. I want this to work, but I don't think it's gonna.
Why don't we get together tomorrow? Why don't you message me in the morning, and we'll jump
Okay.
on Zoom, and I can take a look at what you're doing. I want to see you doing it.
Okay, that'll be good, because you know I have this one hand thing, and I think that's a lot of it.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how you do what you do with only one hand that works properly. I'm very, very envious of that. I have two hands and I'm struggling right now trying to get this last section filled. So message me in the morning and we'll do a one-on-one Zoom, and I want to see what you're doing.
Okay,
Maybe
I
it's just
promise I will.
something simple that you're doing that I can help fix and we can get it resolved.
That sounds good.
We'll have our coffee together. How's that?
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
You know, I usually end up having to have a second cup of coffee, because I'll tell you exactly what happens. And this is why my little Sammy is like a baby, because I try to be so quiet in the morning. When I go into the kitchen, I set my alarm on my phone for 6:05. Even though my children are adults and they should be able to get themselves up in the morning, they still need my help. So I set my alarm for 6:05, and I go open my son's door so he knows it's time to get up. And I'm telling you, she is sound asleep in her little doggy bed, but the minute she hears me walk in, she's up. So my coffee is poured, but by the time I take her out and give her her medicine and et cetera, my coffee's cold.
Oh, no.
So, yes. And I don't like heating it up in the microwave, so I usually end up just having to make another cup. But it's like clockwork, Susan. Like, she hears me pouring my coffee.
That,
You know, she doesn't
that's-
understand. You know,
I do know. I do know.
she's my
Yeah.
little baby.
I got to tell you what we had this morning to drink in place of coffee.
Mimosa?
No, I wish. I had a big old mug of espresso.
Ooh,
I know.
that's what I need. You must have been running around like crazy all day.
Well, I have been, but I didn't intend to.
Yeah.
But
You guys went for breakfast or?
we were out of coffee, and all we had was espresso. So we put that in the drippolator.
You can do that with espresso?
You sure can.
Oh. Would you call it a drippolator?
Yeah, it's just a coffee maker.
You know, do you remember those old-fashioned percolator coffee pots for the top of
Yes.
the stove? My mother
long,
had
yeah.
one of those.
I still have my mother's.
And that little bloop, bloop, bloop sound.
Yep.
Look, I'm
I
done.
have one of those, but I don't use it.
Let's see, Christine.
What do you think?
Oh, yours looks better than mine.
We're going to help you, so don't say that again.
Okay.
Now I need to get espresso.
Yeah, you do.
I actually had a cup of coffee about half an hour before class, and I'm like, wee! I needed it.
Oh, Lord.
So
Child.
there, look at that. I had enough mesh, and look
That's
pretty.
beautiful.
I could just hang it like that if I want to. I love this mesh.
That is gorgeous.
I can't even see where my cut ends are, which is, there's some right there. I'm just going to tuck him down in there so I don't see him. See how easy that is?
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So how does everybody else's look? Susan, we'll talk about yours tomorrow. Emily, how does yours look, honey? Did you finish? If you didn't finish, don't worry. You're all going to get the video. You get to listen.
I didn't finish, but you know what? It's going good. Can you see it?
Awesome. And like I said, it's not a race.
All right, can you see that?
Oh, that is gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
So pretty.
So, and you used the same method for your burlap, right, Emily? The one that you just made. This is the same thing.
Yes, but the burlap's a lot easier.
Well, because it's not as wide. Yeah, it's not as wide. So,
Well,
like
not
I
only
said-
that, it doesn't stick to itself like this.
Yeah, that's true too.
And I didn't get confused where it was supposed to be pulled through.
Oh, it's going to
So-
be gorgeous.
It is.
Now, what I was going to tell you guys is that, see, I got to stop messing with it now because it looked okay and now I'm going to be pulling at it. So you got to learn when to stop. You just got to let it go. So I think that came out really nice. I like this mesh. Now, what I was going to tell you is that typically you don't add a lot of ribbon streamers to these types of wreaths because there's nothing to attach it to. It is possible to attach ribbons. Now, I know in the picture that I showed, you can put like a little bow on one side. I didn't make a bow ahead of time for this because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. You can do a little sign. Let me see what I have here for signs. I have a couple of these cute little signs I got from Dollar General. If you've seen these in wreaths, I know this light is so bright. Can you see those? Those are from Dollar General. I could actually use one of these. You can kind of put it in the center if you want. Or you can kind of put it off to the side.
I like that better.
You like it on the side? Yep. I
Yeah.
can put that on one side, and it's got the pink in it, so that would work. It's got the pink in it because I wanted to kind of match the color in my mesh. So I could put that on one side if I wanted to. I'm just kind of looking at what I have in here. I didn't really plan on what sign I wanted to use. I really was just wanting to show you the method. Now, you can add ribbon And the way you would do that, I have a couple of pieces of my ribbon left from
Oh, Shaw.
my Easter garland. So let me see if I can pick out a couple that would go good here. Let me look for a second. I actually have this pink striped, you can see that, sort of like a canvas. And this is actually a satin pink that I had from the garland. So what you would do, let me find some pipe cleaners here. You just basically have to, and you won't need a full pipe cleaner. And I'm not really sure if I want to add ribbon streamers, so I have to wait and see. Let me just find a half of a pipe cleaner here, because you're not going to need a full one. You don't want to waste. So take your ribbon and find your middle point, just like you're going to add it to, you know, a regular ruffle wreath, you know, that you tie down with pipe cleaners, and just wrap your pipe cleaner around it, okay? And all you really have to do is just kind of open up one of your ruffles and find the wire. Now you're not really going to have any spaces, so you kind of just have to twist it around where your wire is and tuck it in there. These probably would have had to have been a little bit longer. These are 13 inches, but because these ruffles are so long, you might want to cut your ribbon at 14. But I have these left over, so it is possible. I just wanted to show you, hold on, I got a string coming off here, that it is possible to add ribbon. You just have to open up your ruffle and find that wire. Yeah, these really aren't long enough, but I guess it'll work for now, just to show you.
Bye, Bunny.
You leaving, Susan?
Oh, no, I was saying goodbye to Bunny. Bunny left.
Oh, she did? I didn't know she left.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. I didn't realize I was
That's okay.
so
That's all right.
glad I didn't say something ugly.
You would never say anything ugly. But like I said, I think if I was going to add ribbon streamers, I would cut them at 14, because you want them to kind of show. These might be long enough, actually, but you can add them. I think what I probably should have done is add them to the outside wire instead of the inside, but I guess it doesn't really matter. Or you can add a bow. I'm not quite sure if I want to add ribbon streamers to this or not. I have to kind of think about that, but it's possible to do that. It's a little bit more difficult. And then I have my sign, and you can actually, you can either staple pipe cleaners to the back of the sign. I know hot glue isn't always a good idea in the South, because hot glue comes off. You can use E6000, and then you can just wire your sign to your wreath. But I'm not quite sure if I want to add ribbon. I might just make myself a bow and put my sign on and call it a day. I guess that ribbon doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look too. And you can actually do what I did in other classes, and you can make yourself a little bow tie, which you do by just taking another piece of ribbon and making a little circle. But then again, you'd have to get another pipe cleaner and feed it through, because you have to attach it to something. So it's a little bit more challenging attaching ribbon to, or I could even just glue that in if I wanted to. If I wanted to just kind of glue that little bow tie in there. See that? I could do that as well if I wanted to.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that.
But again, I knew that the making the wreath itself was going to pretty much take the whole class. What time is it? It's
Yeah.
20 to 10.
Yeah.
So, because it's time consuming to have to pull all those ruffles through. But yeah, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just go ahead and I'll just add my ribbon like that all the way around. Again, make a bow if you just want to maybe have a bow on one side and a sign on the other. That's perfectly fine. I don't really know if this pink matches because it's a little bit lighter than the pink that's in my my mesh, but it is doable. I kind of like that sign though. Let me look at that. I like the way the sign looks.
Christina,
Yeah.
Damon has told us a new way to attach signs,
Yeah, how's that?
and I don't know if you want to hear it or not.
Sure.
Okay, you use these 1.1 zip table, good Lord, I can't even
Yeah,
talk. Zip
I've
cable
seen that.
ties. Yeah, and
It's a little square, right? That
Yeah.
it's self-adhesive. Yes, I've seen that. You can
And-
get them where the cable ties are.
that's right.
It's a little square that it's self-adhesive and you put it on the back of your sign and you feed zip ties or pipe cleaners through that. Yep.
Yeah, that, and I was thinking maybe, I don't know the quality of that sign, but maybe this would be a better way. I don't know. How thick is that wood?
It's only about 1/8 of an inch maybe. See, but
Yeah.
I've never had a problem with hot glue because it doesn't get that hot here.
That's right.
So,
Yeah, that's right.
I know a lot of people in the South have an issue with that, but absolutely. I think there is a post that was saved in my other group where my admin had shown an image of what those cable tie holders look like.
Okay, I'm glad.
But I
Okay.
can try to find that too. But I think I'm going to wrap it up. I just kind of wanted to show you guys how to do the actual.
I have some of those if anybody wants to see.
Yeah. that'd be
Yeah,
great.
show
Just take a
us.
Picture.
Okay, hold on.
Well, here we go. I'm pulling another one of these out. I got to cut it. I'm not quite sure if I like this ribbon in here. It's a little too pink for me. I'm going to take that out. I just wanted to show you that you can add ribbon. Susan, you're making me sleepy.
I got mine finished, but I think I'm just going to add a bow and a sign to mine.
Yeah, because, I don't really like the way ribbon looks when it's attached to this. I mean, I'm not a big proponent of a ton of ribbon. I like to be able to see my mesh, and this mesh is so pretty.
It is very pretty.
So yeah, a bow and a sign is perfect. And I'm just sort of, like I said, you can go through and you can adjust. I'm just trying to make sure that I have the same amount pulled through from both sides here. I just need to find a good ribbon to make a bow out of. A natural color, like maybe a burlap ribbon, would look pretty here too because of the burlap in the mesh. I have to just see what I have here. I have to look through my stash and see what I have. I have a lot of ribbon, so I kind of got to see what I have. Who went to find the cable ties? Who was that said that? I don't even know who was that said that.
Wasn't I?
What's that? No.
Wasn't I?
It was me, and I've got them.
Yay. I'm sitting here with a pack right in front of me. I didn't even have enough sense
They're
to volunteer.
right by the cable ties. And they're little self-adhesive squares. And you can either feed your cable tie through it, there's little holes, or you can use a pipe cleaner. You can run the pipe cleaner through the holes in it. So.
Okay. I don't know.
Emily, I don't know your voice. I wasn't sure who it was.
Can you see them?
Hold it up in front of your camera. No. I'll just go ahead and I'll post a picture. I'll get a picture of them and I'll post it in the group so everybody can see it. But it is a great way to attach signs too, definitely. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll take a picture of this just so everybody can see that we finished it. And I'm going to go ahead and add a bow to it tomorrow. And I'm still pulling these darn frays off, which aren't even really frays, so I shouldn't say that. But I'm going to wrap it up. I think I am gonna use that sign though. I
I
think
love that.
And does anybody have any questions? Robin, how'd you do? Did you make yours?
Yes, I made mine. I'm going to finish it up tomorrow.
Okay,
Work, so I will send you a picture.
sounds good. I'm still pulling these darn things out. Like I said, a lot of times you can find this right as you open the roll. And you can pull it off before you even start working with it, and then you won't have to worry about it. So, all right, guys.
Thank you.
See
Thank
you
you,
Saturday for the
Christina.
next class. We're going to be doing our spring centerpiece if anybody's in that class.
I
Thanks,
am.
Christina.
Yay!
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll get together for coffee in the morning and we'll figure out what's going on with your wreath.
Okay. Thank
Have a
you,
good
dear.
night.
All right, guys. Good night. Thank you for joining me.
Good
Good
night,
night.
all.
Good night.
Night, everybody.
Bye. Night.